Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 to 23. My first video on this passage, I entitled it The Most Terrifying Words Imaginable. If you saw that video, you know that I said a lot of things. And I hope that the things that I said, some of them at least, generated some questions in your mind and caused you to look into the Bible to see what God says on those issues. In this follow-up video, I want to address one of those things that I talked about. In that video, I said that reciting the sinner's prayer, going to church, tithing, serving in ministry, and even sharing the gospel message, none of these things can save you. I want to address this issue specifically because it goes to the heart of the passage that we read. Salvation. See, Jesus was telling people that thought they were saved, "Depart from me, I never knew you." And so in this video, I want to look at salvation, see what the Bible says about salvation. And I want to look at one aspect. There are many, I'll give you that right now. The one aspect of salvation that I want to look at is justification. How are we justified? So let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the book of Ephesians. I think this passage in chapter 2 goes directly to this issue of justification. It's a great place to start. In verses 8 and 9, it tells us, "For by grace you've been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is a gift of God, not by works, lest anyone should boast." Now this passage gives us three very important points about salvation. Number one, it says that it is by grace. So what is grace? Simply put, it is unmerited favor of God. The second thing it tells us that we're saved by grace through faith. Faith is the instrument by which justification is given to us. And the third thing it tells us is that it is not of or by works, so we didn't do anything to gain the salvation, to earn the salvation. Now going back to the sinner's prayer, if we try to apply the sinner's prayer to this formula of salvation in Ephesians, where would it fit? I think the best thing that we can do would be to say that it is an expression of someone's faith. But is it actually faith or just an expression of that? Let's look to the Bible to see what the Bible says about faith. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, it says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. See, this speaks to us having the strongest confidence and conviction of something that we can't see. In this verb form, it goes beyond wondering or thinking. It goes to belief. So isn't that what John 3:16 tells us? "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life." Going back to the sinner's prayer then, what do you need to have first? Faith. You need to believe first. So why do I say then that this prayer can't save you? It's because it can't. Simply, it just can't. You can recite prayers all day long and not believe a word you're saying. James wrote about prayers without faith. Let me read to you from James chapter 1. He writes, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." So how do we ask God anything? We go to him in prayer. The next verse says, "But let him ask in faith, with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways." See, we can be praying all day long and not have the faith in our prayers. Wrapping this up, the things that we do, our prayers, the service, can all be expressions of our belief, but they don't play a part in our salvation. Next video, I'm going to address another aspect of salvation, regeneration. When we look to see what Jesus told Nicodemus that night that he came to visit him, you must be born again, and examine what that means. Until then, God bless you. Stay in the Word.